Check. Good morning. Check. 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 Cliffy? Yeah. Check. Good morning, everyone. We're about to begin. Can I please request you to put your phones off or turn them on silent? While you are seated in the auditorium, please keep your masks on at all times. The washrooms are located behind the auditorium. If in case you do require to use them, there are ushers available outside that will direct you.
Let them sit down first, and then I'll tell you when to start.
We're doing this.
Go.
ओमकार. हाँ, एक मिनट. ओमकार. ओमकार. ओमकार.
मुझे पता तुम्हें यहाँ पे हूँ.
अच्छा, ठीक है. Mike. Can I please request everyone in the audience to please rise to welcome our principal and our chief guests, as well as our guest of honor today. Just smile. Smile, everyone. Omkar. 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 Step forward. Step forward. 1 second. Check.
For every chief to wear good shoes, it needs to go from youth to this. Parents, teachers, and my children. And best of all, Miss Particular voices. All that the foundation of school stands for is
I want you out of this way.
of the past one. We, the students of grades 7 to 10, have worked with various aspects such as perseverance, teamwork, mastery, grit and determination, and much more to get us to this day today. And as this event reaches its crescendo, we will display a very important skill, public speaking. Our theme for today is life skills and its impact on our life. Please join me in welcoming our chief guest for today, Mr. Prajot Naikar, and his wife, Mrs. Prajot Naikar, Mrs. Naikar, and our guest of honor, Mr. Prakash Perez. I also welcome each one of you to this event, and I'm sure that you will enjoy every moment as we take center stage to share our thoughts, but mostly our experiences with you.
Back into position.
बस से account.
1, 2.
I have a voice.
Voice.
Let's walk smartly off this position.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Evan Garino, and I'm going to be introducing our first speaker today, Lucius de Almeida. Lucius de Almeida is a good friend of mine, and on a personal level, Lucius de Almeida is the head boy of the Gera school, and on a personal note, a good friend of mine. Lucius is a funny little man, but when the occasion requires, he can really pull up his socks and get the work done. When I was told to talk about Lucius, I wasn't sure what to talk about. I wanted to talk about his admirable qualities, such as his dedication, his willpower, and his ability to lead people. Today, Lucius is going to be talking to you all about what he likes to call the most important life skill you will need when you are older: parenting. Of course, Lucius doesn't have a child of his own. Rather, he has his little brother, Caleb. Please do not get distracted by Caleb's cuteness, but actually listen to Lucius' speech. Please give it up for Lucius de Almeida.
Good morning. When we think of life skills, the most conventional ones like communication and leadership come to our mind. However, we often overlook this one important life skill that most of us might need in the future and even now. It's a life skill that not only consists of other life skills, it's a life skill that can pass on other life skills. It's nurturing as a parent. Of course, I'm nothing of a parent myself, but on April 23, 2020, amid the pandemic, my brother was born. And this gave me an opportunity to witness every single second of his growing up.
Say hello, everyone.
These are some of the million life skills I've identified in parenting. Before my brother was born, my mother had to stop drinking and eating certain foods, as well as take a step away from her business work. Now, studies show that 43% of women with children end up leaving their jobs permanently. Regardless of the ethics behind this problem, it is a sacrifice that mothers make. Before my brother was born, there was also a lot of preparation that went into his arrival. Now, I'm talking preparation like a hospital bag, different medical records, and nappies. During this time, I helped out a lot. And all of this vital preparation could not have been done without organization and time management life skills. And note that this was during the pandemic. So I had to cut meters of cloth because it was locked down and we couldn't go buy nappies. Time management and organization life skills. And because I had time management on my side, I could still do my studies. And I got straight A's in every single subject. Just don't check that with the teachers, please. After my brother was born, it was all rush, rush, rush. But the most constant thing I could remember was music and affection. At around 6 p.m., I would bring a small little Bluetooth speaker and play some relaxing music while my brother enjoyed an oil massage. I took part in these activities quite often, and soon I learned to adjust to this new schedule. But as his body began to grow, his mind did too. He started throwing tantrums. Now, I'm sure the teachers here have absolutely no idea of what tantrums are. Why? Because we are such good children. But I do. Because my brother would frustrate me with his unreasonable crying. But the key to dealing with this was patience. It was all just a stage of his growing up. And soon, he started walking and expressing himself in a way that wasn't an assault to my eardrums. The next, coming to the more recent times, I'll be talking about communication and listening life skills. Communication is one of the most important aspects in all aspects of life. It's the most important life skill, and listening is necessary in understanding the way a child behaves. While I don't use swear words, I could use nasty sentences like, "Shut up, idiot," sometimes. And it took my brother no time to learn some of these words. But I realized that children need a child-friendly and motivational environment, and communicating with them is very important. Moving on to self-control. When I'm in my youth and I'm pumping with adrenaline and energy, it's hard not to pull a Will Smith on my brother. And he just stares back at me like Chris Rock with his cheeky smile. It's important to understand that humans' instincts are to react with these kind of incidences with a reflex, especially when it's unknowingly done, like pulling my hair. And you can't do this with a child. And it's important to have this kind of self-control to give them that child-friendly and motivational environment they need. I'd like to conclude by saying all of these life skills are very important in giving a child, empowering a child with the love and happiness that they deserve, and making them better people of tomorrow.
You have supposed to tell them not to do it, right? So then why you asking me?
Hello, good morning. Thank you, Lucius, for the amazing speech, and hope to one day be a good parent based on all the things I learned from you. Good morning, my name is Jasneel. Today I'll be introducing my great friend Ian. But first, I'd like to say a few words about myself. 2 weeks ago, we were given the opportunity to write a speech on life skills, and I wrote about communication, the skill I'm using right now in front of everyone here. So, everyone knows the basic life skills, right? For example, resilience and teamwork. But instead, we will be listening to Ian share his thoughts on his life skill, gratitude. Put your hands together and welcome him.
Thank you. Gratitude turns what we have to enough. What is gratitude? Gratitude is the feeling of being thankful for something you have or don't. Good morning, my name is Ian Garino and I'll be speaking on the topic gratitude. How many people here have lost somebody close to them? Well, I have too. I lost my dad when I was 7 and it was rough. But at least I had him for 7 years. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have the confidence to come up and stand here right now. When he died, he was suffering from cancer for a year. And God knows the pain he went through. But still, whenever he saw my brothers and I, he would smile. And he also taught me gratitude because even when he was in the worst of situations, on a hospital bed, even if you did a small thing like bringing him food, you would always get a thank you. And even though he passed away, on the bright side, now I have a guardian angel. Even when my dad died, immediately my mom said, "Do you want to go to Tara's house or Vivek's house?" And the same night I stayed with my cousins. That's the type of support systems some people don't get even when they are in a very bad situation. And I'm super grateful for it. You can be grateful while in loss because the saying goes, every dark cloud has a silver lining. You just need to find it. If you lose a dog, you may think time to time, oh damn, I wish I never got this dog so I didn't have to go through all of this pain. But trust me, it changes you. And I got a dog to help me through my hard times too. If you lose a game of football, now you know your opponent's strategy. You can build a counter towards it, and now you have the drive to work harder and beat them. You can also be grateful if you tried your best and still failed, because then you know that that thing is not for you, or you need to give your 110%. Just 2 weeks back, my mom was showing me my Google memories. She wanted me to see the ones from a year back, but I scrolled to 5. This was the photo. And with a look of sadness on her face, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to show you that because I didn't want to make you sad." Because I was smiling. I was smiling, just like in the picture, because it was a happy memory, which I remembered. And I'm glad I did. I'm going to end with a quote. "Don't frown, for they are gone. Rejoice, for they have lived." Thank you.
Come. Is that right? Oh my God, you've got tears in my eyes.
Oh, hi. You didn't see anything. Thank you, Ian, for that wonderful speech. Anyways, good morning, everyone. I am Hayden D'Souza, and I will be introducing the next speaker. I've always wanted to be a boxer, but I lack the skill to build up to that level. But oh man, after this next speaker, I feel I can achieve all my goals. This next speaker has lots of qualities and can convince people really easily. Please give a round of applause for the one and only Zara Bajaj.
Just relax.
No one's motivated all the time, because motivation comes in spontaneous bursts of energy. Good morning, I am Zara Bajaj, and today I will be talking about a very important life skill called discipline. The problem with motivation is that it can be used as an excuse daily. Let me give you an example. I won't take the dog out because I'm too unmotivated. I won't cook today because I'm too unmotivated. I won't work out today because I'm too unmotivated. Ring a bell? If we use motivation as an excuse daily, how are we supposed to get anything done in a stable, organized manner? How can we reach our goals? The answer is, you can't rely on motivation to get the job done. As I previously mentioned, motivation comes in spontaneous bursts of energy, but discipline doesn't.
Your name is?
Simone Kinkre.
Discipline is one of the most important life skills and is a constant, unlike motivation. That brings me to my next question. What do you think successful people do to achieve their goals? Yes? Interesting. Anyone else? Give it a go. Yes. Yes. Anyone else? Yes. Yes, lovely answers. Thank you so much for your participation. But they get up every morning and they work themselves to the bone for hours on end. It could be anything, like becoming the CEO of your own company or a competitive athlete. But I can assure you, none of them were motivated for all of those long hours of non-stop work. A lot of us aren't disciplined. I'm pretty sure most of us go home and kick up our feet and watch a movie or read a book and procrastinate doing that piece of homework until the last possible second. Don't get me wrong, downtime is completely essential. But wouldn't it feel better if we discipline ourselves to finish that piece of homework as soon as we get home? I know it is strenuous to build up discipline, but when you really have no motivation to do that one chore, no matter how big or small it is, just push yourself and do it. Because I promise you, you'll feel so much more relieved and accomplished after it's over. A lot of you must be wondering, how did I build up my discipline? Well, it started a good 6 years ago when I had to go for a tennis class that my parents forced me to attend. And I didn't want to go because I was too unmotivated. So I told my mom that. After the lecture, she said the wisest words I've ever heard. Zara, when you enroll in something, give it your all and don't rely on motivation. Ever since then, I built up my discipline, and now I'm here talking about it to all of you. I have a goal that requires a lot of discipline to actually achieve. I have been given the opportunity to participate in a Kung Fu tournament in a couple of months, and I have to train regularly to even make the cut. As someone who didn't really struggle with discipline, I was finding it difficult to train the amount needed. I would have to get up in the morning and go for that run at 5 a.m. But I wouldn't do it. I'd have to come back home, have to punch and elbow and kick, but I wouldn't be able to do it. This continued for a couple of weeks, and I lost so much progress during those weeks. But then, one day, I saw the light. I realized that I was relying on motivation, not my discipline. The next morning, I got up and I went for that run. I came back home, and I punched and I elbowed and I kicked. I felt absolutely exceptional after it was over because I disciplined myself to do what I had to do. And if anyone can do it, so can you. So when you get home, I want you to do that one piece of homework, that one chore. Stop procrastinating, stop relying on your motivation, and start relying on your discipline. Because when I get home, I'm going to do everything I need to achieve my goal. Now, to end off with a quote said by John C. Maxwell, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. Thank you. I am Zara Bajaj, and I have a voice. Woo! Yes.
Thank you, Zara, for that very motivating speech. Good morning, my dear audience. My name is Simone Kinkre from grade 7. Last Wednesday, we were forced. Given the opportunity to do this very speech. Most of us dreaded it, right? But we all have to admit, it did make us feel the tiniest bit more confident later. At least for me, I felt way more confident in myself. I did karaoke, which is something I've not done in years. Though I'm sure I sound like a screaming goat, but that's not the point. It's the fact that in less than 24 hours, I felt more than 20% confident in myself. Now, I'm not going to go on off a huge tangent.
Resilience is the process of adapting to or recovering from difficulty. And it's a skill that everyone has. Whether you're a kid struggling with school and your family, or you're an adult and you're under pressure from your job. Resilience is about going through something that impacts you, but still finding a way to cope with it. In 2019, I lost someone important to me. I lost my mom. And like any other 9-year-old would, I didn't deal with the change well. I went into this emotional slump, had no motivation, no self-confidence. I didn't talk to people. And most importantly, I felt alone. I felt like I had no one beside me. I think the worst part about being in a state like that is being too tired to do anything about it. You're just by yourself. And in a way, for some, that's comforting. That was my state of drowsiness. The longer my eyes remained closed, the quicker I felt myself falling asleep. To get out of that slump is something that is extremely difficult. It's just you, no one to impress, no one to let down. But it's not healthy. And you may feel like it doesn't get worse, but trust me on this, it does. So if you ever find yourself in that slump, I'd like you to keep these 3 things in mind. 1, have a mindset. A mindset to motivate you is possibly the most important thing out of these 3. Because you can't make any change unless you believe that you can. The best part is, it doesn't have to be something that's overly positive. It can be anything you want it to be. I motivate myself by comparing myself to other people. If someone's more productive than me, I'm losing the game. And if I'm more productive than someone, I'm winning. And I love winning. Number 2 is the effort. To put effort into something is mandatory. How are you supposed to make change if you don't work to get it? That speech that was due, the presentation that you have to make, art projects, chores, homework. You can't sit around and wait for an opportunity to fall into your lap. And the third one is getting help. While writing these points down, I hesitated with this one. Because of a show of hands, how many of you actually go get help when you need it? That's not many of you, right?
And that just goes to show how much getting help is frowned upon. Being resilient, you're expected to do this by yourself. It's you and you alone. But that doesn't work. To oversimplify it, your mind is like Jenga. It's all fun and games stacking it up to see how high it can get. But that one wrong move can trigger everything. I think back to the time where I felt vulnerable a lot, where I felt alone. And I'm kind of shocked to see how far I've come. Because I've used me not having motivation, me being in that slump as an excuse for everything. But now, every day I get up in the morning and I work towards the change I want to see. To end with my speech, I'd like to leave you with a quote by me. Everyone has thoughts of improving themselves, but you're the only one who has the power to make those thoughts a reality. My name is Anushka Pereira and I have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Anushka, for that wonderful speech. Good morning. My name is Mantra Tengse, and I'm here to introduce our next speaker. Can I get a show of hands? How many of you would consider yourself as confident? Well, for those who don't, our next speaker is going to be talking all about confidence and how even you can become more confident. Now, many of you might already know our next speaker. He's known for his confidence, his lightheartedness and humor, and most importantly, football skills. Any guesses? Well, for all those who thought of Agastya, you'd be right. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker who will be talking all about confidence. Give it up for Agastya Syam.
When I came here to audition for this role, I asked all my peers that were present a question. When I say the words confidence or confident, who comes to mind? Someone said, my parents. Good answer. Someone else whose name starts with K and ends with Eth said, Vladimir Putin. We're not going to talk about that, it's fine. And then Parisha, where's Parisha? Somewhere off stage. Hi Parisha, wherever you are. Parisha had the best answer. She said, you, Agastya. That is the best answer I have ever heard for any question I have ever asked. I was a very smiley kid, as you can see. I had an amazing first few years of my life. As children, everything seems hunky-dory. The reality of the situation that you are in does not strike you when you're that young. And it may not be a very good situation that you find yourself in. My situation and my circumstances were hard, and they were diminishing my confidence. But such is life, and it happens to the best of us. Now, in 2015, my parents got divorced, and I tried my level best to be there for my mother, and I tried to act like the separation was not a big deal and it didn't matter to me. But in all honesty, it did. I was in a really bad place, and I was not liking it at all. I was turning into this newer, worse version of Agastya that I did not like very much. Around that point in time, I realized something. Everything passes, be it good or be it bad. It will pass. Now, all through my life, there has been one constant: rap. Ever since I was a kid, I have absolutely loved rap. When I was younger, it was just whatever rapper was popular at the time. But now, as I have grown up, I've expanded my taste. I listen to everyone from Tupac to Mobb Deep to Dutch Valley. If you know a rapper, I probably listen to his music. Right now, though, I want to talk about one particular rapper, Rick Ross. I was and still am in awe of him. He is a dominant physical presence. He is 6 feet tall, almost my height. He's thick-set, and to add to his presence, he's always wearing an expensive, flashy, colorful outfit that people like you and me would think 1,000 times before wearing and then probably still not wear. I would see his social media videos and I would see how sure he was of himself. I would admire his confident tone and his demeanor. I wanted to be like him. So like any other kid would, I began copying him. There was me at 11 years old, walking around with a fake swagger in my step and a big ego for absolutely no reason. Me thinking I was being confident because I was copying someone else. It didn't feel good. I was exhibiting confidence that I did not really feel, and I wanted to feel that confidence. I wanted to actually feel the confidence that I was showing everyone else. And then someone, I think it was my mom, hi mama. My mom said, Agastya, you are being confident like Rick Ross. Why don't you be confident like you? Be confident like Agastya. That's when I realized. I dropped the act. I stopped copying him. I started doing things that I thought would increase my confidence. I did that one thing that I was scared of doing. I spoke to that one person that I was scared of going up to and talking to. All of that was increasing my confidence, and I actually felt good. I was feeling confident about myself, and I liked it. What I'm trying to tell you is, don't copy anyone. Be like you. Because at the end of the day, you are the only person like you in this world. There is no one else like you. I need you to embrace that. Be confident in the way you look. Be confident in the way you sound. Be confident in the way you dress. Now, I want to end on a question, and I need all of you to think about this. What can you do to elevate your confidence? I am Agastya, and I am confident. Thank you.
Dear Diary, today I feel low, really low. I got really overwhelmed with my emotions during classes and even shed a few tears. I can't wait to go home and do something I enjoy. Oh, I didn't see you there. My name is Nida, and I'm one of the hosts for the morning. Have you ever wondered who you really are? Well, today Megan Poe from grade 8 is here to talk about self-understanding. This is a topic that is rarely ever spoken about, but deserves equal if not more importance. Megan has worked really hard to be here on stage today, so let's welcome her with a big round of applause.
One of life's greatest unanswered questions has always been, who am I? How many of you in the audience today have successfully answered this question, and how many of you are truly happy? Can I have a show of hands? See, that's not a lot of hands, and thank you for the participation. I'm going to be very honest with you, that was a difficult question, but don't worry if you don't have the answer, there is always more time. Good morning, I'm Megan Lisa Poe from grade 8, and I'm here to help you with that very question. I love art, and I use it as my window of expression. One day, while working on my 21st century canvas, my iPad, the stark white background got me thinking of how close to life a canvas can be. As we meet new people, learn new things, and experience different things, we add color, shade, and texture to our initially blank canvas. We turn that blank canvas into a piece of art. It is our right and our duty to turn that piece of art into a masterpiece. We youngsters have many avenues in life that we are lucky to choose from. In a conversation with my grandmother, she spoke of things like doctor, engineer, and secretary. And she completely spaced out when I spoke of things like graphic design, coding, stock markets, and entrepreneurship. The vibe in the room changed from advice to wonder. But with so many options, there is still a ton of confusion. It's like going to a restaurant with a 10-page menu as opposed to a McDonald's, where, to be honest, getting your order wrong is quite hard with the limited options. Finding what excited me took tons of trial and error and loads of money spent on classes of different types. Thanks, Mom and Dad, I couldn't have done it without you. But on a serious note, it took lots of self-reflection and self-understanding to get to the heart of my spark, the spark that each one of us has. That is the beauty of what I have discovered in the 13 years of my existence. There is a flame inside each and every one of us, but it's finding that flame and allowing it to burn that makes all the difference. Think about it. How many of you have discovered something about yourself at the age of 13 that you still pursue till this day? To find my flame, I use 2 techniques: journaling and embracing new challenges. Journaling was and is still my go-to place. As I put pen to paper, it gave way to my emotions and sparked my creativity. My ability to verbalize my thoughts, feelings, and emotions allowed me to draw energy and convert it into visuals. What was wonderful was that my passion for art was discovered through the understanding of my own feelings. As a young preteen, I felt things I couldn't understand. Journaling gave way to comprehension, and comprehension then gave way to my true emotions. The next technique I used was to embrace new challenges. I'd internally cringe every time my mom spoke of a new instrument or a new sport she thought I'd enjoy. But as I'm known in the family, I went with the flow and I never put up a fight. I've tried it all. I went from cello to the piano to the ukulele. I'm not bad at it, but I'm not talking to you about my mastery of instruments now, am I? Football is also something I quite love, and I'm quite good on the basketball court too. I'm almost the tallest in my family. I am getting there. But my true spark is where my speech began, the canvas. The canvas is where my hours melt away, where my emotional development is strengthened, where my feelings are acknowledged with every brushstroke. I'd never have known this had I not allowed myself to get to know a very important person. That is the person I see every day, brush and pencil in hand, smiling back at me as I prepare for a new day. She is me. She is Megan, and she has her voice. Have you found yours? Thank you.
That was an amazing speech by Megan. I hope that we have all understood ourselves better now. Good morning, teachers, parents, and students. I am Zoya Briganza of grade 7, and I would like to thank everyone here today for coming and listening to my peers speak. Did you know it takes less than a second to create a first impression? Mark Black once said, sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax. By a raise of hands, how many of y'all here deal with stress? I can see a lot of hands up. What do you stress about and how do you deal with it? Our next speaker will talk more about this topic. Please welcome to the stage Alithia Paris.
Hi, I'm Alithia, and today I'll be talking about stress. Now, I'm sure most of you must be thinking, oh my god, I've heard this lecture 1,000 times before, you need to take breaks, yada yada. But how many of you actually take that advice? That's what I thought. Now, stress comes from different sources. It's different for adults and children, but we still experience amounts of stress. For adults, it could be from work, maybe have a bill to pay, taxes to pay, errands to run, work to work. For students, you have different sources, school, maybe just, grades. Maybe there's a math homework you have to do, maybe an essay you have to write that's due in 2 hours. For both adults and for teachers, it could be managing a class of very rowdy, irresponsible adolescents. But I know our school doesn't experience that because we're all basic angels, you know. For both adults and kids, there's fitting in. Social activities in general stress a lot of people out. Thoughts like, will they like me, or am I doing okay, am I speaking well, am I annoying, constantly plague my mind. Like me right now, I am extremely stressed. I'm terrified. I was put in front of a bunch of adults, very intelligent ones at that, and I was told to teach them something. But what really matters is how you deal with this stress. Most of us will look to relieve it. We'll do hobbies. Like, I write. My mom, she does skincare. She watches Netflix. She also reads. My friend, she draws. Her roommate, she paints. Some of us stress eat, which is extremely bad, actually. I used to do it. I used to have this weird obsession with instant noodles. I still do. But my mom actually had to ban me from having them because I had so many. Some of us, the most neurotic of us, we ignore our problems and our stress. And it's extremely unhealthy because it just invites procrastination and it's super unhealthy. And just ignoring your problems is just going to make them bigger. Think of it like this. Is this tap water? I'm holding a glass of water, okay? It's not that heavy, is it? But what if I held it for the entire afternoon? It's definitely going to take a toll on my hand, right? Stress is just like that. It may not be that big, but just merely holding it with you for a certain amount of time is going to take a strain on you. So in conclusion to that, take care of yourself, take breaks. Don't take extra long breaks because that's just procrastinating, but take even breaks. Do the things you love, hobbies, anything. You can read, paint. I know a lot of my friends have passions for art and literature. Make those instant noodles. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be instant noodles. It could be any comfort food you like. Just don't overdo it, otherwise you'll get them banned. Thanks a lot, Ma. Call a friend. Just confide in them. It could be friend, family, a therapist, anyone. It just matters that you confide in someone. And don't drink random glasses of water you find on stage. As you can see, I really regretted that. So yes, just take care of yourself. Thank you. I need to stop drinking this.
I'm Keith, and I'm a teenager. For all the times you told your teenager to grow up, how does it feel hearing experiences from teenagers here today? My, how the tables have turned. I'm Keith, and I'm from grade 9. The life skill I relate with the most is decision making. But first, what is decision making? According to me, it's a process of choosing between two or more options. You will always resent your decision that you made, but eventually you'll figure out that you made the right decision. Why? Well, it's because we adapt to the environment we are sent into, also known as change. That's what our next speaker is going to talk about. Our next speaker is Natalie Morera, from grade 9. She's born with the gift to talk a lot, and that's why we call her the chatterbox in grade 9. Thank you, and welcoming onto the stage, Natalie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Natalie Morera, and today I'll be talking to you about change. Okay. According to the dictionary, change is an act or process through which something becomes different. It's also replacing a thing with another that can be newer or better. Well, I have something to add to that. I think that change is inevitable. How many of you have experienced change in your lives? I see a lot of hands up, but I also see a lot down. And for all of you, I have something to say. We all experience change. It'll come to us sooner or later. And a lot of times it can be difficult to accept and adapt to the changes that life throws at us. Let me tell you something about myself. In late 2019, I lost my dad. And it was difficult. I was very close to him. And I miss him very much. And then COVID happened, and it hit everybody like an oncoming train. Then I moved from Dubai to Goa, which was another big change. They're two very different places. It was like a domino effect of changes, just one after another after another. And at first, I won't lie, I was very unhappy with the situation. I didn't want to do anything. I experienced loss. COVID happened, and now I had to leave the country, and I had to leave all of my friends. I didn't want to. Everyone deals with changes differently. My brother and I went through the exact same thing at the exact same time, but we had very different experiences because he's 8 and I'm 15. I'm not going to say that my brother didn't have any friends, but his relationships just weren't as deep and meaningful as mine. I'd been with my friends for nearly 8 years. Whereas he'd only been with his for 6 months because we went online so quickly. Some changes are bigger than others, and people can go through changes that are smaller than yours. But it's important to keep in mind that that doesn't mean that their changes are any less important than yours or yours less important than theirs. Some changes are voluntary, like weight loss, like going on a weight loss journey, like moving to get a better job, getting married, having a baby. These are all changes that we choose to go through. Then there are changes that are forced on us and are unwilled, like losing a family member, getting evicted from your home, moving to a new country but jobless. And there's tons more. If these changes, the involuntary ones, aren't adapted to, they can leave us depressed, upset, and bitter, and at the end of our rope. Well, I went through a lot, but with a bit of time, evaluation of the situation, and optimism, I adjusted, adapted, and now I can say that I've seen the brighter side to the situation. So are you ready to take a few pages out of this chapter of my life and learn how to not just adapt, but thrive in change? A lot of you have gone through big changes, especially in the last 2 years. Can you, like me, a 15-year-old, say that you've made better of the situation? If you haven't, or if you can't, that's okay. I'm going to send you out of here with 3 tips that helped me adapt to change. Number 1, do your best to understand your feelings. Take a step back and assess the situation. Number 2, maintain comfort and normalcy. And number 3, seek help and talk to someone. To elaborate on number 1, assess the situation. It can be very overwhelming having all of these things being thrown at you, and something that can help you to deal with the change is to take a step back, look over the situation, think about how it will affect you and what you can do to better handle the situation. Another thing you can do is to maintain comfort and normalcy. Try to create comforts in your life. Take time to relax, take time to de-stress. I personally listen to a lot of music. I posted videos of myself singing. I play the keyboards. My dad was a musician, and that's something that brought me comfort in times of stress. What's something that you do to relax? Yes, you at the back. You sing. Yes. Sorry, could you repeat that? You sleeping? I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would recommend finding something to help you be comfortable and to help you relax. Anybody else? Yes. You cycle. That's a very good one. Now, the last thing you can do is talk to someone. You don't have to always be strong. You can always talk to someone. Talk to a friend that you trust. If you can, go to therapy. When my dad passed away, I felt the need to be strong for my mother. She felt the need to be strong for my brother and I. But something you can do is know that it's okay to be weak, together. Now, overall, 3 things that you can do to help you adapt to change and thrive in it are, another thing that a lot of people go through is their feelings getting invalidated. I personally heard a lot of things such as, don't stress over it, or you shouldn't make a big deal over nothing. But something that I'm sure we've all heard is that we're all special and we're different and we're unique. So if we are all special and different and unique, that also means we all handle feelings and we handle changes differently. So you should do your best not to invalidate anybody else's feelings, and you shouldn't let your feelings get invalidated. 3 things that you can do overall to help you deal with, adapt to, and thrive in change are: assess the situation, maintain comfort and normalcy, and seek help. You should always count your blessings and try to be optimistic even in times of strain. I am Natalie Moreira. I'm 15. I lost a parent. I was displaced from the place that I call home. I lost my friends, my family. I went through 2 lockdowns. Yet, I'm still standing here in front of you all. And I have a voice. I even made the student council. And if I could do it, then so can you. Thank you.
I can't do this. Oh, hi everyone. Good morning. My name is Kaya, and the next speaker is going to be talking about anxiety. When I was auditioning for Voices, I spoke about organization and time management. Now, these skills are connected to what the next speaker is going to talk about. Let me ask you a question. How many of you feel anxious sometimes? That's a lot of hands. Okay. I also feel anxious, and there's always this little voice in my head making me rethink and overthink every single thing that I do. But not to worry, because our next speaker, Sia, is going to help you silence that voice and bounce back. So without any further ado, let's welcome Sia from grade 8 with anxiety.
Hello everyone. I'd like to introduce you to someone particularly interesting. This is Jane. Well, you can clearly see that she has some issues. Her hair is strategically placed over her eyes, not letting her see forward, not letting her look at from new perspectives, and dissuading her from finding solutions. Who is she? Well, she is this character in my head that I created. She's the one that magnifies my fear. Jane represents my anxiety. Good morning, everyone, and today I'll be talking to you about a life skill that now I stand here embracing, and it's Jane's worst enemy. Resilience. It's a life skill that's not about how to achieve or how to be happy. It's about how to get back up when life isn't sunshines and rainbows. Everyone needs to be resilient to get out of their problems. And I bet everyone in this crowd has gone through some or other problems and has gotten out of it. You must have noticed that my host bounced a ball. That signifies that you can always bounce back up after you hit the ground. It's on those days when the heart doesn't sing on its own, but you have to sing anyway. A lot of people deal with anxiety, and it took me almost 7 months to learn how to deal with it. And Jane was constantly on my mind, spewing these lies, making me believe them. A small thing like a friend not texting me would make me swim in a pool of worst-case scenarios and believe them. I was drowning, Jane pushing me down, until one day I hit rock bottom. It got to a really bad point where I thought, why don't I seek help? How many of you here in the crowd have gone or are going for therapy? That's quite a few hands. Well, I do go for therapy, and there's so much stigma around it. But it helps you get better. It helped me get better, and I'm not ashamed for going for it. When I started therapy, I realized it wasn't just a vent session. I was very surprised. You actually had to take the initiative and get better. I learned many beautiful things from it. For example, guys, guess what? Anxiety is actually just a thought. It's like a conspiracy theory made by Jane herself, and she is making you believe it with no proof. We also need to start balancing our thoughts. For example, if a friend hasn't texted me today, I wouldn't immediately think that they hate me. Maybe they were just busy. And I also dealt with a lot of these overwhelming situations, these panic attacks. They really interfered with my life. But usually these panic attacks happen when you're either thinking of something from the past or the future with your own created scenarios and worries. So it's really important to come into the present moment through your senses. If this ever happens to you, I want you to name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Understanding how your mind and body work during these overwhelming situations can really help you get better. Don't let the panic attacks control you. Don't let Jane control you. You control it. You get better. Look around you at all your peers, all the familiar faces. We're all going through some ups and downs in life. But I bet you we all can get out of it because we are strong and we can always get back up. And I'm going to be honest, Jane is still there right now in my head, and I do cave into her lies sometimes. But I'm not going to let them control me anymore because after all, it's just a thought and I can get back up. Thank you. I'm Sia Karmali and I have a voice.
Wow, Sia, what a wonderful speech. I can see some of you in the audience are restless, but don't worry, there's only one speaker left. When you're in the 10th grade like me, there is a lot of work to do. I always have to muster up motivation to get the work done. But there are those days where I can't find it. I'm so tired that I don't have any motivation. And then you know what happens? I lose my confidence and don't complete anything. But for those of you who have the same problem as me, look no further, because Omkar Rane is here to talk about self-motivation.
Let me tell you an astonishing fact. Everybody is talking about how our mobile phones emit radiations which can be harmful for us, right? What you may not have known is that all bodies emit radiation. This remote, this shirt, and even me. Before you walk away from me, calm down. The radiations I'm talking about are heat radiations, which are not harmful. The point I'm trying to make here is that our brain tends to believe in everything it hears and sees. That was just me, someone you have not even known previously. Imagine the impact when you, the most familiar person, tell yourself something. Good morning everyone, I am Omkar Rane, and today I want to talk about one of the most important life skills not often discussed. That is self-motivation, especially through self-talk. Imagine this. This is your brain. This is another guy, your clone. That tiny guy is the deciding factor. All self-assertions or even demotivation is conducted by his listening to self-conversations consciously made. Moreover, I have experienced this myself. At the age of 12 years, I loved skating, and I still do. After attending a 15-day skating course, my coach told me that I was ready to go for a state level skating competition. At the start line, I told myself that I could not do this. The fact that I was facing notably more experienced skaters did not help it either. Although, as I reached the finish line, I whizzed past everyone. I had just won! Okay, none of that happened. I didn't win the race. I fell down on my face. Thrice. That justifies this. But seriously now, if I had entered with a positive mindset, I would have at least enjoyed the race, even while going slow. After that incident, I was not able to find an opportunity to skate again because of some reason or the other, and I haven't skated since. Conversely, at 13 years, I attempted a mathematics Olympiad. This time around, my father told me that I could focus lesser on getting the highest marks. He said that I had at least learned something important. Although, as I was walking towards the venue, my mother said that I had to believe in myself. She said that all I had to do was give my best. So my brain started believing in me too. I sat there and looked at myself, and I talked to me. I could do this. This was not as hard as it seemed. I was positive about my work and adamant about giving my best. And even though this time around I was considerably inadequately prepared, I still managed to come first in my city. That is the power of self-motivation. Another time, we had to do a 2,000 word global perspective individual report. Now, you have 2 weeks to complete this, 2,000 words. I sat down to do research, did not manage to reach my expectations, and that 2 weeks turned into 1 week, and the 1 week slowly turned into 3 days. And the timeline looked like this. Now, 0 words written, 2,000 words left, I have 3 days left. So I sat down on my chair that day and I told myself that I could do this. I had to finish it. I wrote 100 words that day. Next day, I sat down again. I told myself that I could do this. I turned off any distractions, music, chatting, anything. Whenever my brain would stop thinking, I would tell it that I had to do it. I had to finish it. I could do it. And I did. I managed to finish it. I managed to finish 5 minutes before the deadline. And I submitted it. Likewise, there are several other methods of self-asserting as well as preventing demotivation. One of them is to consider your life as a video game. And no, I'm not talking about the endless lifelines, I'm talking about levels. If you fail a certain level, you don't just give up on the entire game. You look back on why you failed and try again till you succeed. That external motivation that my mother had first instilled into me had now turned into internal motivation. It had got fit into my subconscious mind. I rather told this tiny guy's brain that all it had to remember was that I could do it. Maybe try saying something like this before going to bed the next time around.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
In conclusion, do what suits you the best because you are unique. I am Omkar Rane, I am self-motivated and I have a voice. Thank you.
Check. 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 I think our speakers need another huge round of applause. I would like to call upon all our speakers back on stage, please. Take a pose. Count.
I have a voice.
Thank you everyone for your patient listening, and I'm sure each one of us have learned so much in this very short time. Today we have two very, very distinguished guests among us. Our first is our chief guest, Mr. Prajyot Mayankar. Welcome. I would like to introduce you to the Android Man of Goa, the founder of Androsid, an IT development company based out of Goa. Apart from mentoring about 50 startups under the PMO initiative, he has also served as a mentor to India's leading digital incubator for students, the Startup Village. With his experience in being associated with the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's initiative of mygov.in, he has held the post of chairman of Young Entrepreneurs Forum IT and startups at the GCCI. With over 450 mobile development and business talks across the globe, the prominent ones being DroidCon Greece and Android Developer Days in Turkey, today we have the privilege of having him amongst us. I'd also like to welcome his wife, Mrs. Mayankar. Thank you for being here. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Prajyot Mayankar. Could we request you to say a few words to our students? Sir, can we request you to say a few words?
Finally get a chance to get rid of this. Thank you to the management for inviting me here. It's wonderful. While I was walking into the school, I saw a lot of animated students, right, wishing, and I was really confused whether I'm seeing this as real or real. And then I got an opportunity to sit here, and for a moment, I closed my eyes. And I would like to really point this out is I didn't feel the class 8, 9 or 10 or whatever the kids were talking, to be honest. I really felt by the close of my eyes for a couple of seconds even, I could sense the maturity, the hard work they have put, and I think they deserve a round of applause for this. Is because at this age, to be on the stage amongst parents, students, or adults, as they said, is a bit challenge. I wasn't of that caliber when I was probably in younger ages. Like the students told about stories, while I was sitting there, I probably thought I should tell a couple of stories as well. Let me just roll back and the trailer, all the kids, they mentioned, right? When the topics were flagged, for a moment I thought that, okay, confidence, motivation, sounds very similar to our lives, isn't it? But I think there's one differentiating factor that we, as a speaker or someone being on the stage, needs to learn, and that's what they can carry all their life, is they were candid with their storytelling experience. My experience being on the stage always tells me, and I keep learning this, is you need to be on the stage sharing your experiences. You go with the intention of teaching someone, it never works out, because there's one factor that drives the entire communication, is the listener. You might be prepared for the entire lecture you want to deliver the next day, But if you do not have a listener the other side, it's not going to be possible no matter what number of experience of years you have behind you as a speaker. That brings me to the second point, is how you deliver. I think all of you did fabulous work in delivering things, because catching an attraction of someone sitting there, probably 3 times your age or 4 times your age, is impossible. And that's one of the highlight points that I really found to be sitting there. And obviously, because you be in that experience, being on a stage is a bit challenging, because you have to catch an attraction of someone sitting in the audience. Not just that, is that 15 or 20 minutes that you have allocated with you, there's one other factor that defines you before you introduce yourself. And I call that as an energy introduction. Your energy introduces you before anyone else introduces you. It's the way how the kids said good morning to me. It's the way how I was, and I call this a term called as onboarding. My onboarding experience, right from the entrance of this school to be sitting over here, was a seamless storytelling experience. This is an exact thing that you need to replicate in your storytelling. I never say this as voice, it's rather storytelling, your voice, right? I'd like to give a couple of information why I see this is important, right? Everyone spoke about one common interest, that you drive with your passion, right? You want to know what you will succeed in your life or where you will succeed in your life. The most important diary that you need to look at is your passion. If you're not passionate about doing something, it's not going to work out for you. It's the passion makes your paycheck, as they say. I'd like to give you another example of how I found, I saw the drums out there, right? I'm sure everyone has heard about C.V. Raman? Yes, everyone? Okay, how many of you have heard his Blue Effect? The Blue Effect by C.V. Raman. How many of you all have heard? Show of hands, please. Okay, let me rephrase that question. How many of you all know what C.V. Raman is known for? Anyone? Has everyone heard about Raman Effect? Right? Now, someone who is so eminent about and known for Raman Effect is also known for an excellent work in musical instruments. Now, we all know him, who has done extensive research in science. The same person has done amazing work in musical instruments. And I'm talking about an instrument in South India which is very popular called as mridang. Essentially, if I have to rephrase how mridang looks, it's nothing but a combination of a tabla. But it's only instrument, or one of the very few instruments, that actually produces overtones, harmonium overtones. Now the concept there is, if you want to read up about this, there's a nice paper which he has written in 1920. Now that is what most of the students talked about, how someone who is really passionate about something can do so many creative work. I saw great examples about painting, someone has story experiences, right? And to that, one of the most important segment is knowledge. A lot of time people give the input, they share their experiences. It's always great to go back and write about their experiences. A lot of them spoke about journaling as well. I'm a big fan of journaling, right? One of the questions you need to really write, am I happy today? The most important thing, if you're happy the previous day, the next day is going to be super awesome, right? And that is what you need to ask yourself. Am I happy doing what I'm doing, and am I happy today? And I think these two questions really define what you are. The kids obviously will not understand the meaning of this at this point, but I'm very happy if they understand this, because most of the time we always go into a sine wave. We have our lows and ups and downs wherever we go, right? The most important factor that I really feel what compiles us together to go ahead is knowledge. I'm sure that the practice or the hard work they must have put to be on the stage would have been tremendous. I'm sure that they must have taken few hours or probably days to be on stage. And to raise your voice, there are two segments to it. One is the pre-preparation and post-preparation, which is very important. Whenever I deliver a talk, I always make sure that the post-preparation is to retrospect on how you have fared. Ask your friends, ask the people in the audience what I could have improved. And I say this is because there are too many motivational speeches online, too many courses online about making money fast, too many about how you should get up early in the morning at 5 o'clock and all that saga which is going on. And I really like one of the person on the stage who mentioned be yourself. The beautiful quote I think there is to just retain the composure of your body, your physical posture, your mental strength. It's very important, right? And what remains with you is knowledge. What you read is what you output, right? And I give this input to most of the conferences where I speak at is read, right? Whether it is make it simple for yourself, make it very important for yourself to read, spend some time in reading, because I think we are living in the age of digital distraction. We tend to see mobile phones a lot, the Instagrams, the Facebooks a lot, and I don't feel that's right, to be honest. I think you need to have a zone in your life where you have a timeout. So before sleep, wherever comfortable for yourself, have a time block for yourself, 90 minutes, 120 minutes. Put off, and it does make an impact. I was a person who never ever gave off my phone. But today it feels great that I'm talking to all of you without my phones near around, and I'm not even checking it. I think it really helps. I'll give you a simple example, which is I think why knowledge is important. There's this story of shopper knowledge, right? Whenever a speaker goes on to the podium to actually speak, there is an experience. All of you displayed a great experience there. There's this nice story. I don't know what is the truth behind that, but there's this Nobel Prize winner, a physicist known as Max Planck, 1920. He won the Nobel Prize in around 1918. So he used to go around giving lectures around Germany at that time. So 1920, one of the years, the chauffeur used to drive him around. So obviously the chauffeur knew, what he could deliver in Munich. So this time they were in Munich. So one of those days, chauffeur asked him, boss, you give the same lectures everywhere, right? Let me try something different. Let me go on the stage and deliver on your behalf. He said, fine. So chauffeur, on one of those days in Munich, went on the stage and delivered the exact same speech that Max was delivering, right? The lecture got ended. Now the session came of asking question. Obviously a scary state for him, because neither he knows what he has said, right? Because there is no knowledge behind it. There is nothing behind it. There is no study like all of you have done before being on the stage over here. So now he's confused. But that didn't stop him, because the moment the question asked, all he had to do is, it's a very simple question. I didn't know Munich could ask such a simple question. Even my driver could answer it. So the driver was sitting in, no other than physicist. So he's playing very smart with the stage, and I really like most of you who did be on the stage and share the experience, because that is what it is. Life is about sharing experiences. It's not about storytelling. It's about taking you on a journey where right from the start, you take them with their closed eyes. You can envision what you want to deliver. And I don't feel ashamed to tell you this, is because when I saw it, probably all of you speaking over here, I probably thought, okay, motivation, what could be the content? But what really was a highlight is their toughness, what they went through, what was the pain, the pinnacle points. I think that was the highlight. And I was really honored to be sitting here and observing all of you. You have a great future. And I think all of you, whoever are not being part of this, should be part of this. I think it's a phenomenal job done by you. Thank you for having me here. It was pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayankar, for that. Now, a few months ago, we've just got out of this very comfortable situation that we were pushed into. Anybody remembers what that was? Yes? Pardon? Online school. Yes, absolutely. And with it, us adults had a lot of struggle when it came to the COVID situation. There were a lot of heroes that popped up, and one such hero is also sitting here with us today. Our guest of honor, Mr. Prakash Pereira. If you are heading to any supermarket, the big ones, we'll probably be heading towards Delfino's. our guest of honor for this function sure shares a range of interests. He is the Managing Director of Amakar Holdings Private Limited. Apart from being the owner of Delfino Supermarkets and Allure Hotels and Restaurants, he is also the managing partner of a chain of very popular sport outlets, Champs. He entered the business world early in 1983, and his journey since is not unknown to us. Being the managing partner of Louis & Company, hardware lifestyle stores, he interestingly also shares his love for cycling and sports and is a very qualified football referee. From the get-go, Mr. Prakash Pereira's life has encompassed every life skill we have heard of today. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Prakash Pereira. Sir, can I request you to say a few words?
Good morning. I'm Prakash Pereira, as the children introduce themselves. It was actually indeed a pleasure, as Mr. Mayakar pointed out, to listen to these young minds, teenagers, speak with such passion. And hence, some of them, or most of them, expressed the experience of life. I think I would like to share my experience of life. I had heard a couple of them saying they lost one of their parents. One said their parents got divorced and things like that. I must share that I lost my parents too at the age of 12, both my parents. And I wasn't alone. We are 10 siblings. My eldest brother was 16. I have a sister in between my elder brother and me, who was 14, and I was 12. And the youngest was 8 months old when I both lost my parents. When my parents were living, I'm saying this to you all not to get discouraged. When my parents were living, we were one of the wealthy families of a very beautiful island called Diwar. We owned cars, we owned lots of things. And I lost my mom in 1972, and my father couldn't bear 10 minor children without their mother. As such, he started drinking a lot. By then, my father had a partnership, one Oberoi from Delhi. They were manufacturing compass boxes. And when mom died, he couldn't bear attention, so he started drinking a lot and left the whole business with this partner, signing blank check, hypothecating my mother's gold, doing everything possible. And in early 70 or late 72, that man just hooked away with all the wealth we had. And that's the day my father stopped drinking and he died. So we were 10 children without parents and bankrupt. Of course, we had few properties here and there. Nothing could be done because the inventory took 12 years to complete. Bankruptcy, parentless, millionaire relations, nobody comes to your rescue. It's only your good friends and close people that help you out. Except for one uncle of mine who was in Kuwait, helped us a lot. I'm saying this because don't get discouraged. Today, we have established an empire. As a young man, the teacher introduced me, started business in 1983. That was the formal part of the business. But we started business as a 6th and 7th standard boy, no sooner we lost our parents. We did a lot. I would take a whole day if I need to speak about it, but I won't speak about it. My formal business came in 1983. Even as a student, that's why my qualification is absolutely negligible. I'm not even a graduate. I'm not even an undergraduate because I was trying to do my engineering, and engineering compels you for compulsory attendance, which I couldn't attend, so I had to give up my engineering in third semester. As I did a road, my father also was a civil contractor, believe me or not, I completed a road in a village called Korji of 5,35,000 rupees as a student without having a naya paisa in my pocket. And it takes courage and vision to do that. It is absolutely passion. You will say, how can you do a government job? Because I did a government job on somebody else's license because there's one contractor called birthday and all, but we managed to complete the job and we did it. Today I have 30 retail outlets all over Goa called Champs and Louis & Company and Delfino's, 2 hotels and restaurants. We're doing quite well. We're doing so well, and we are 6 brothers together in everything that we do. And we started a company when we were minors. Don't tell you, people were still studying. My youngest brother, as I told you, was 8 months old when I lost my mom and 1.5-year-old when I lost my dad. Everybody told us, listen man, as long as you guys are bachelors, you'll be fine. Once your wife comes in, things will be different. But believe me, if you believe in yourself, everybody believes in you. And that is what happened. We are 6 brothers. My youngest brother is married for last 13 years now, and we are all together, and we are fantastic brothers. I'll be lying if I say we don't fight. Of course we fight. If you don't fight, then the other side of on the chair is a cabbage. I told my brothers, we need to have opinions, and we need to consider what is the wisdom of a collective wisdom. Having said that, I could share a lot, but the time is limited. Your children spoke, or students, teenagers spoke so much about motivation, discipline, resilience. One aspect that I would like you all to keep in mind is your conscience. Conscience is very important. In life, whatever you do with your clean conscience, work hard and achieve in life. Never go after money. Money is a byproduct of your achievements. Please remember this carefully. Second thing you remember is that your satisfaction and pleasure starts with a problem. That's my belief. If you don't have a problem, you don't have a solution. And if you don't have a solution, you don't have a satisfaction. Greater the problem, more difficult the solution, but greater the satisfaction. Keep up. I must compliment the teachers to having such wonderful students on stage and talking so well. I must say this, I am a product of Our Lady of Diwar High School in Diwar, and no more than that. And I owe it all to that school, although I am not an academically qualified man. And one teacher called Sir Thomas from Kerala played a big role in my guidance, because I was in 6th and 7th, and I thought I was the king. My brother had already gone to Kuwait by 79, you know what I'm telling you? And I was a king, but that teacher, he's still living, I still respect him, because he taught me in 5th standard and he knew how clever I was. But when I came into 7th, when I lost my parents, I thought, oh, I have a freedom. Till that particular moment that teacher Thomas came, held my ear, I still feel the pain, and said, I know how good you are. You are under my conscience. And that is his conscience made me who I am today. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and cheers to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Pereira. All that you've seen on the stage, all that you've seen around the school has one driving force, That force is not in the pink of health today, but I would still request Mr. Joseph to please come up and say just a few words.
That's not quite fair, Ms. Charlene. I really, the captain's is only as good as his team, at least 50% of the times. So yes, true, I'm a bit under the weather, so I stayed on top, told the head of admin to sanitize the place once I've gone. I've not got COVID, but still I was, with the flu-like symptoms, I said, okay, I'll stay on top and stay far from everybody. It's one of the finest programs that I've seen in the short history. If I take 2 years out of lockdown and just 2 years in operation, it's really one of the most wonderful, heartwarming programs that we've all been privileged to see. I congratulate first and foremost our speakers, the ones who delivered as well as the ones who introduced them. But it takes courage to come up and talk about something that's personal to you, but not just talk about it, show how you've grown and how you've overcome it. I think that's the big one. Congratulations to all our staff. A big thank you to our guests today. Thank you for being here at short notice. I'm sure you have so many things to do. In fact, he's on his way to they are on their way to the airport straight after this. They have a flight to catch, but he still made time. Both of them made time to come here, and we are really honored to have both of you here with us today. I'm not going to add my story. You've heard enough. I think you need to dwell on those stories and the stories that you heard today from our two speakers. What I will say is, when we were small and we had cinema halls like, with front row seats and then balcony seats, you watch the angry young man, say, Amitabh Bachchan come, Diwar, all the picture Diwar, and all the other Kalia, and he with his fists, he would right all the wrongs. And people would go in and throw money on stage and clap. For 3 hours, they were insulated from the reality of their own existence. They lived life vicariously because in a world that seemed patently, blatantly unjust to them, there was one man who could right the wrongs. And he felt good about life, that there was hope in the world. Right? When Sachin Tendulkar was out there on the field playing, he carried with him 1 billion dreams and aspirations. And we live our life vicariously through these heroes. They make us feel good. But all I ask you today is, don't live your life vicariously through heroes, whether from whichever field, or even these heroes that you've heard today, the two here and the young ones here. Let's take, I think the best way to pay tribute to that spirit is to now take that forward. So you take anyone, whether it's Lucius in parenting, whether it's Zara with saying, don't depend on motivation, you've got to have discipline, whether it's Omkar, whether it's Natalie, and all the others, I won't remember, the complete list of speakers. But take their stories and then imbibe them and practice them in your own life. Then they have gone, then they are really successful in this event today, and we'll all be successful. I ask you this, I was telling us, our guests today, that when we talk of life skills, and I have Ms. Charlene to thank for being the life skills coordinator and driving it right through school along with our staff. The life skills that you've heard there and from our speakers are the ones that will, physics, chemistry, biology, history, geography, language, all very important. Don't discount them ever. But once you've got past the front door of that university, once you've got past, once you're through those gates, once you enter life, you cross the portals of the portals of the school, you leave the portals of the school or the institution, then those life skills will take, whether it's discipline, conscience, whatever. So you've heard good stories today, but you've got to make them now your story. We've got to make them our story. I know I won't get personal, but listening to those speakers, I know that I picked up a thing or two which I'm going to practice from today. Many of the things that they said resonated with me. And I know I hope to make that change in my life. And I wish the same for you. Thank you very much, all of you. I know there's a vote of thanks, so I won't go my vote of thanks. Thank you very much. God bless.
Now it's audience participation time. And I need all of you to use those muscles, because now's your time to clap as loud as you can. Not yet. We have a load of people that we need to thank today, so please bear with me. I hope I get to each one of them. First, we'd definitely like to thank our chief guests and guest of honor, Mr. Mayankar and Mr. Pereira. Please keep the applause coming. Of course, our principal, Mr. Joseph. We'd love to thank Miss Jessica, who has been all around the place, our lead communication, who has put this entire event together. A big round of applause to our events coordinator, Ms. Ketal. Our coordinators for all the continuing support, always, all our teachers who have bared with us every time we pull the students out of the class. Yes, we will try to make it up to you. There are 3 teachers who help with the training of the students, Ms. Aditi, Ms. Lizelle, Mr. Jurish. We'd like to thank Ms. Joanne for putting together the entire PowerPoint presentation. A huge round of applause for our admin team, Mr. Sidesh, Mr. Jonathan, and the entire sports staff who have been running around backstage. All our students, our speakers, a huge round of applause to them. You didn't see all the nerves because our hosts looked after them. Thank you, hosts. You all did a great job. We have a huge team backstage. Students involved with stage, backstage. We have all our tech in charges over here. Please give them a big round of applause. We have sound, light. There's a television screen that is on a loop outside, again manned by our students. We have CCR TV, our media partners. And of course we've got Mr. Clifford, who has made it so easy with the mics. Thank you everyone present here. Thank you for taking the time out and being here with us. Another huge round of applause for our speakers. Can you thank Ms. Sally? All right, here we come to the end of our show. Please. Can we please have you rise to the national anthem?
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मन